Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Shocking roster changes going down over the last 24 hours here, with the Las Vegas Legion finally deciding to make some moves, but not the changes that large swathes of the community expected. Purge stays in the team for the time being, we'll discuss in the coming minutes, but Standy is certainly gone. Response to this matter on stream last night as well. Some interesting words for his teammates. What is going on in that camp and some of these decisions in what is arguably one of the strangest and maybe worst roster moves we have seen in quite some time. Very much into your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty to dive into. This is a great clip as well here actually from Fred finding Shotzzy, shall we say, in the OpTic headquarters in the heart of downtown Dallas, as we like to say here on the channel, or Ziddy of course came up with initially. Firstly, Miami Heretics of course, they have officially confirmed their roster change. It was rumoured and, well, it was confirmed basically, but it wasn't official quite yet, with Miami confirming that JurNii is out and ErikBooM is in. Now this roster of MettalZ, Lucky, Vikul and ErikBooM was the team they had to start the season, but apparently, I guess practice wasn't going so well. They brought in JurNii before the season even began, and they looked really good at the start of the game. Go to the major though, JurNii had a tough time, and honestly, if it wasn't the Purge having a .46 in the series they won against Miami to knock them out of the tournament top 12, JurNii's .57 or whatever it was getting a little bit overlooked, right? I mean, Purge literally was a walking free kill on the map, and JurNii still at a .57, so, or .6, whatever the KD was, it wasn't pretty. And look, if you look historically, Miami are a team, and Zero talked about this on the podcast as well the other day. Well, Spanish players in general, their playstyle can work online. On LAN, there's question marks as to whether it's going to work. So whether this change really does anything, whether it's kind of like a one-for-one in terms of if they're still going to play the same style of COD, they're still going to struggle more so on LAN. But I think it's one of these moves that's probably worth a go. He's been doing solid Erik in challenges, potentially a Spanish player for the future, and I think it makes sense to at least try this, right? Because they've got a fair few points because they did well online. They went to LAN though and got a fat 0, right? 0 points for that top 12 finish. They need to make some changes, probably either to the way they play the game or at least try a roster change here, Erik for JurNii. Now, if it doesn't work, what are they going to do? JurNii back in, somebody else gone. There are other Spanish players as well they could go for, but, you know, their pool of talent is more limited, you would presume, than it is in other, you know, for other teams, because they pretty much have to get Spanish guys. And there's some great Spanish players, and there's some great Spanish players that aren't even on this roster, I would say. So there's possibly something to be said on that over the coming months, but ErikBooM was on the SGP team here, and so Erik's gone, JurNii is now in. But actually, Lunas is gone again, and Major Maniac is in. So this is now their team of Cruz, Gunty, JurNii, Major Maniac. They're making changes all the time because Lunas is gone, and we'll discuss where he's gone to in the coming minutes because it's relevant to this discussion. So we saw some rumours going around the timeline that I discussed yesterday that there was some questionable roster change going down, probably CDL related. We thought maybe it's Vegas. Turns out that yes, it is Vegas, and Standy is out of the team. This is pretty remarkable for so many different reasons, not just for historical perspectives as well. We know that Standy has been on, well, he's been dropped before, shall we say, and, you know, let's say when Standy was dropped from Toronto previously, they were decent with Standy. They got rid of him, they put Hixie into the team, and sure, they could upgrade Hixie again with Envoy, as they've successfully done. But Hixie improved their team. They won the next event they played. Scrappy was talking all sorts of trash on Standy. I don't think Standy's a really talented, high-ceiling player. But there's got to be a reason why, for whatever reason, his teammates just don't get along with him, or the chemistry doesn't seem to work. I'm not really sure. Because on paper, attach Nero Standy is a pretty decent trio. And with a fourth that can, you know, deliver some slaying on a more consistent basis, that would be a team with a recipe to, you know, qualify for the World Championship. They're not quite, I think they're 9th right now in standings, because they did at least pick up 15 points at the major by winning their round 1 game, but then they got slammed out in a reverse sweep that wasn't particularly pretty to watch. So Standy getting dropped obviously is a surprise when these rumours started to emerge, but it's even more so a surprise given the fact that there's a player on the team that was, you know, pretty much the worst performing player in the league. If anyone would have had to predict which player would be first to be replaced on the Vegas Legion roster, I think that has said Purge. Now, it's kind of cool that they're not doing that yet. You know, maybe they really believe in Purge. And Zero said this again on the podcast. He made an interesting point that if you are going to keep Purge, he knows he hasn't really been playing at a good level, obviously. The teammates have to have, like, full confidence in him. You have to say, look, we really believe in you. We believe you're the man type thing. Because if you don't do that, then it's just never going to work out. So I think there's still a possibility the Purge is also gone, and I do think that's definitely the way to go, I would say, given some of the options that are out there potentially to take up that role. But understandably, Standy's a good player. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We always have less information than the teams have on making these changes. Doesn't mean the teams make good decisions, right? I think that's quite often said that the community will criticize a change and then the team will be like, oh, well, you don't know the full story. And it's like, well, yeah, true, but we can still think the change is bad, and sometimes it is bad. And most decisions that are made by teams are bad in terms of where their rosters end up compared to where they're intending to place. Like when these teams form their roster at the start of the season, they, I imagine, think they're all good teams. The majority of them are not good teams, and we find that out over the coming weeks and months. So Money B says, L-Move, got to verbal them all season if it's true. 100k viewers, Scott Watch Party, you hear that, Vegas? Standy stays. So pretty funny stuff here, of course, on Money B, right, saying that, yeah, he's not happy with this move, and he's going to cloud them all season if they make this move and then it doesn't work out. In fairness, Toronto, basically every move they have ever made has been pretty impressive, right? When they dropped Zinni for Insight, that was a big controversy, no Zinni, no Winnie and all this stuff. That worked out pretty spectacularly. Dropping Standy for Hixie worked out spectacularly. So, it's got to be said that maybe Toronto were onto something there, and Vegas obviously feel like there's a reason for this. The primary reason for this, though, as remarkable as it sounds, is they played a scrim in what is now 2 days ago against the FaZe Black team. So basically the best team in challenges. To be fair, Kremp is gone, Asim is gone, but they've still got a great roster over there. And they got kind of slammed by FaZe Black. Sure, the maps were kind of close, but there was one particular player on the other team that was slamming Vegas, and they literally decided to pick him up as a result of this. So I'll just share a couple of the scoreboards, I suppose. This is one example here on the Karachi, when Geo, also known as Geo 1 of 1, with Joe Deceives, Exceed, and Brack, drops 36 kills on Vegas to win the map against them. So clearly, Theory, the coaches or whatever over at the Vegas side, was sitting there watching this guy and thinking, hang on a second, we might need to sign this guy to our team. These are actually the overall numbers from the scoreboards that we have. Geo had a 1.3 over the maps that they played. He dropped 36 on one map, 34 on another map. The 34 on Skid Row was pretty ridiculous, actually, because the rest of his team had like 13 kills, and Geo had 34. So, yeah, he had a 1.3 in the series they played. Standy had a 0.9, at least of the maps that we have seen. And apparently, according to Zuma, this scrim happens, and like immediately afterwards, Vegas were on the phone saying, yeah, Geo, you're coming in. Now, you might have thought that Geo would have been coming in for Purge, but that is not the case. So maybe they were looking for a reason to get rid of Standy. I simply don't know, but we'll see what Standy has to say on this in a second. And as FaZe Black say, sent to the league with express shipping, Geo's out of there, and he's now into Vegas. Now, they still haven't confirmed this, and I would imagine that Vegas will be cooking up some sort of AI announcement as they've done before, but, this is now a done deal, and Standy has mentioned it on stream as well. Even Jake Hale says that the decision was made yesterday, maybe the day before yesterday now, to replace Standy. Had heard after Major 1 they were looking at Brack, but that died off quickly, so it looked like they were going to stick it out. So I don't know if something changed, because I think Standy's been reasonably solid for this team. It certainly hasn't been their worst player, and the numbers definitely reflect that. But yeah, for whatever reason, Standy's got Purges in, and I can only imagine that this is, definitely out of game stuff involved in this. Actually, Breaking Point did an article pretty interesting saying that from various sources, the move is due to in-game but also out-of-game factors. So there must be something else going on, right? And we'll see what Standy has to say in a second, kind of in response to some of his teammates, because he doesn't want to burn the bridges too much, but, at the same time, I kind of get it. He also tweeted out just like okay or something on Twitter, but that was deleted within about 2 minutes. You guys know how Standy operates on the timeline. But yeah, Purge will be moving to the second SMG, third AR type position, right? So he'll be in, so basically Geo is going to replace Purge's role, and then Purge is kind of going to move on to Standy's role, which maybe they think can work, or maybe it's at least worth a try, but as Nameless and many others are like, what are you guys doing over there? Or what is actually happening in that camp to make a move like this? And there have been some questionable changes in COD history. There have been plenty of them, but this comes near the top of the list theoretically, because, Standy's a talented player. Then again, there is a trajectory of this happening over the last several years, of him getting dropped for whatever reason, and people are also talking about his next step as well beyond this situation. However, there are some rumours going around that this might not be the end of the story. Benjay Naseem says that, at least as far as he's concerned, Standy could be gone, and Purge could be gone as well. It's definitely not locked in yet. They've got another few days until Monday with roster lock to decide what they actually want to do.
Listen, man, stream, I'm not saying too much, bro. It sucks. It is what it is. I'm not going to talk too much about it. If they believe it'll help the team, that's what they believe. It is what it is. I'm still going to be myself. I'm still going to stand on business. And I'm just going to keep going hard until I get another opportunity. Or we see what happens. So there's not really much more to say. I'm not going to say anything else. Not going to say too much. Found out from theory. And that's all. Found out from my coach calling me. But it's okay. Don't slam anyone. You guys can have your own opinions out there. But I don't want you guys cooking people. Or actually, I mean, respect, honestly, like them as persons, like them. I think they're all great people. I like them. But at the same time, fuck them, right?
This is what they're doing. I agree with you, Ben.
I mean, I'd heard that 2-person change is not out of the question for Vegas at this point. They have until Monday before roster lock if they want to make another change. I won't be surprised if they decide, tomorrow, the day after, whatever, that they will end up making a second change. I don't think they're just stuck right now. We're only doing one at the moment. This is what I've heard.
So I thought Standy's response was interesting, right? He obviously doesn't want to say too much in certain respects, but at the same time, he's probably thinking, well, come on, guys. I mean, I'm dropped and not that guy. It's pretty unbelievable, really. Like, I think Standy would maybe understand if he was dropped, if, he maybe wasn't performing so well and the team was doing, okay, but not as good as they wanted to, and everyone else was having a really good time. But I can't imagine he's happy getting dropped before purge in this particular situation. So enter into your thoughts in the comment section below. I guess the question is for Standy, is there a next step? Because there are other teams potentially looking to make moves. Primarily Seattle. This is the only team so far that we believe are making a change, but we're still not sure what it is, if anything. We even heard yesterday that they can't get practice apparently right now. Whether that's because they simply don't have a fourth to practice with, if Illy is actually gone, as we believe that he might be. But if Arcedes is going to stay, if aBeZy is going to stay, there are questions as to whether a guy like Standy or a guy like Capsidal should be brought straight up into Surge. And I don't know what you guys think about this, right? Because who can Standy would be, if you look to the minimap, so they would make some wild decisions. This is the issue with Standy. Very talented player. Cold War Standy was a different beast in the same way that Cold War Cammy was a different beast. But Cammy was also great at MW19. Since that Cold War year that he came in as a rookie, Standy has not really been the same player. Hasn't been as impactful, I suppose. His decision-making at times in-game is pretty questionable. And maybe there's out-of-game stuff as well as to why he ends up out of these teams on a quite regular basis. But he's still talented enough, I think, to get back into the league for sure. And whether that's a team like Surge could be interesting. But as I say, given the fact that Hook maybe doesn't always make the best decisions, Standy is an SMG in a similar category. I can't imagine that as an SMG duo with him particularly well. But maybe there's an argument to say that, Hook actually thrives when he's alongside another go rogue SMG. Because maybe we've kind of seen that with Hook and Shotzzy. That's a great partnership. So maybe it is something for Rambo Ray to consider if they are going to make a change. And just as I said then, this is why Lunas is coming into FaZe Black, because Geo is gone, so Lunas is coming in. Another very talented potential next up prospect here that's joining the main FaZe Black roster, and I would not be surprised if within a couple of weeks here, Lunas is, get picked up to the league as well, because I think really right now, FaZe Black is the pipeline to the Pro League, and it seems to not be disappearing anytime soon. So very much into your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.